Hello, my name is William Human, and I will be explaining how technology has affected music production in the studio and how I use it as an advantage, as well as how technology can be a disadvantage to how I produce music today. First, recording studios used to rely on very raw talent and skill. There was not very much room for error while recording between the 1930s and the 50s. There was basically a band, a singer, and/or background singers, some very primitive recording equipment, and a very skilled engineer. The lack of room for error was mostly because there was only one dedicated channel, once mono and later became stereo, that the recording artists had to record to, along with the huge tape reels that they were recording to. There was lots of big bulky outboard gear. Although these outboard modules I speak of are what technology tries to mimic today, because they did have such an exceptional response. They required plenty of attention and maintenance. There were huge transistors and open breakout boxes, which also gave most studios a limited amount of space to work with in their studios then. Later, the transistors got smaller and yet more powerful. The reels became more compact with the possibility of re-recording without having to trash tape every time a mistake was made. The dedicated stereo channel became multi-channel recording, from the 4-track to as many channels as an engineer could fit in his or her control room. This transition rose increasingly from the 60s through to the early to mid 80s. Here is where the beginning of the digital recording era was born, almost like watching an actual child grow into adulthood. Where there used to be actual drums and reverb plates, there was now comparable drum machines and reverb racks that could replace every type of reverb that music production has become accustomed to using. The synthesizer had become a tool to replace most instruments you could fit into any orchestra or ensemble, and computers integrated their way into the music production process as if they should have been there all along. Somewhere during this great transition, I was introduced to the art of producing music. Although there was such a difference already from how things used to be, I started noticing how fast things were currently changing. Where it took decades to make small changes to the way magnetic tape could be manipulated, it barely took 1 decade for recording to go from tape to DAT and ADAT, to CD, to mini disc, to zip cartridges, and so on, all the way to where all you need now is space on your computer's local media storage device, i.e. hard drives, internal and external of course, SD cards, and thumb drives. I think it's great to be able to say that I built my very own recording studio. That's with all the trimmings, optical connectors, wireless technology, the clearest and all digital sound you can't find anywhere else. I have keyboard controllers that allow me to play any sound that I install on my computer, and not just any old 1990s 8-bit synthesizer sounds either. These sounds are actual layered recordings of every note played on so many velocities in a professionally acoustically treated room with the highest resolution of digital sound recording for each instrument provided. Today's digital sequencers allow me to record, cut, paste, stretch, so on and so forth. I feel like I can do anything with sound based on today's technology. However, considering that today's advancements let me re-record as much as I feel, punch in and out on as many takes as I want, and gives me presets to every effect and processor that I use, and taking the fact that when there wasn't so much power in the tools that were used when making great sounding music decades ago, I really think had I been born in a different time like then, I wouldn't be as interested in music production as I am into the technological advancements of it all. I love making music, but the way it's made today sometimes feels like a crutch. But I guess that's what technology is for. Thank you.